unbelievable. They actually did exactly what they needed to do. By they, I mean EA Sports. You've probably already seen this trailer. If not, you can watch this without interruption. But if this is true, which, let's be honest, based on FC25 crashing, I've said it a million times, they're smart enough, EA Sports, to know that they couldn't have a disaster like last year. Their numbers were affected by it because of how bad the game was going. They did the biggest update mid-release in history to try to keep players around. So they had to succeed, right? And creating an entire game based around community feedback, right? Or what some of these haters, I'm literally going back and forth with one in my comment section right now on eFootball, but some of these haters calling it complaining, whining, crying, skill issue, instead of trying to be the voice of change, trying to do my part in sparking improvements that you are now seeing in FC26. An entire release of a game based around community feedback with literal comments that people can pause and say, that's my comment. With videos from users saying, that's me. That's when I created the video on tacklebacks being an issue, on needing X, Y, and Z, on needing a lower level champs for those players who can't compete with the best players, so they don't just get whooped and then they can work their way up to champs. Now for me, I truly believe in earning your way, so if they didn't come up with what they call challengers now, I would have been fine. However, the point is, they're actually listening to the player base. That is what these devs need to do to create a game that the players truly love. And EA Sports did it. You would think Konami, always being behind EA Sports, right, having a game that has that realism with passing, player movement and stuff, would actually take note and try, as you see on screen there, to listen to the players, but they haven't at all. I mean, their releases, their updates are so off base, it's not even funny. They'll allude to the player base sometimes as if they're listening, but really, it's all centered around their greed. Now, is EA Sports a greedy company? 1,000%. And is this really based on them wanting the most money? Absolutely. But the fact that they understand they have to listen to the player base to get the most money is what makes the difference, right? We as players know that these companies are greedy. We know what to expect in some instances. However, we don't have to just sit there and take what they give us. They want our money. We don't want their money. We want them to create a great football game. In turn, we let them rip us off to an extent. So the least we can do is speak up and get the game we want. Konami, eFootball, Strikers, UFL, the player base is there. They don't understand this. Probably why they were too lazy to actually work at a game and then just ran away to try to glitch and be rats at other games. Even though Konami has a rich history and historically it was a badge of honor to play PES because it meant you were a skilled player that knows football. But the game has gone downhill since all these rats ran over there and took it over. And the only thing to fix any of these games, as shown with EA Sports FC, is to speak up. Because these development companies, when their bottom line is threatened, they will give us what we want. It just takes more than a few people, more than one person in some instances, because I don't see a single soul speaking at the level needed to spark these changes in either UFL or eFootball. Right? And every time I release a video, there's always that handful of people that get triggered by it for some reason, like when I speak about Strikers in UFL or Konami and eFootball and the changes that need to be made to improve these games, it's like they take it personal. I'm speaking of their family or something, but really the case has to be they're rats and they don't want these games to change and they don't like anybody that talks about the games in the sense of actual football, probably because they don't have skill and know that they're too lazy to improve, put the work in to improve, or maybe they just have some type of mental issue where they like going on different people's channels and just complaining themselves or hating on them, or who knows what their issue is. But the point is, you see the fruits of the labor of the players who speak up, right? Who try to do their part to make change. I don't see it at all in eFootball. I don't see it at all in UFL. And I finally started to see it after years in FC, and now look. The richest, most successful company that has truly ignored the player base more than any other development company, and not just in football games, in any game. And now they have made an entire iteration based on feedback from the player base. Now, the one major issue they didn't bring up, though, that will be the biggest question mark as always, and Inception talks about it a lot, and I guarantee it's the first thing he says. Engine/servers, which create the inconsistent gameplay every single year. No matter how good the game is, no matter how much they overhaul, what about the engine that is severely outdated? What about the servers that, when you combine those two things, create a laggy, delayed, very inconsistent experience? One game is great, the next game's terrible. 1 week, 1 month, it's great, then it's terrible. What will happen there? That's the only question mark, but other than that, the players spoke and EA Sports delivered.